Pat Tillman. Pat Tillman saved lives by declining money and riches to become a veteran and died knowing he made the right decision. Pat Tillman is a hero because he could have stayed safe, but no, he knew that it was meant to do it, and so he did. Pat Tillman was born on November 6, 1976 in Fremont, California. Pat was the oldest of two younger brothers, Kevin and Richard. He had a dad, Pat Sr. Tillman, and a mom, Mary Tillman. He grew up in California with a desire to explore new things. He would climb trees and play hide-and-go-seek in the woods with his brothers. He had a unique personality, like no one could tell him what to do. He went to school at Bret Harte Middle and Leland High, where he met a girl named Marie. She liked his personality. They were friends until they blossomed, and then they were dating. Pat enjoyed playing football and baseball. Baseball was big for him until he was cut from the varsity team, then he turned to football. Pat was always the smaller one on the field, but he could tackle pretty hard. He wasn't fast enough to be a runner, he wasn't big enough to be a linebacker, but he got the position as a safety. Pat rode to his practices on a bike in board shorts and slippers shirtless. He couldn't afford a car, so he'd bike everywhere from the supermarket to his football games. Later on, when he finished high school, he got a scholarship to Arizona State University for his football skills. A website online states that during the wait for high school to be over, he went to a pizza parlor and saw his friend being attacked. And so, Tillman went to defend his friend, and he did, but also got 30 days in juvenile detention facility for it. The website said that his scholarship was gone in the trash, but surprisingly they let him in. He went through college as a good scholar and a great athlete. He changed in his character. He was more firm, and nobody could influence him about his opinion. He played with the ASU until the Arizona Cardinals saw his potential in football. They invited him to the team, and he accepted. He played with the Arizona Cardinals for a great long 3 years, making 247 tackles, 2 sacks, and 3 interceptions. Pat Tillman loved his team and would stay with them until all of that changed and his life was turned upside down. 9/11 was the date that Pat Tillman made the decision that he was no longer going to stay with the Cardinals. Sports embodied many of the qualities I deem meaningful. However, these last few years, and especially after recent events, I've come to appreciate just how shallow and insignificant my role is. It is no longer important. He was joining the U.S. Army. Pat enrolled as an Army Ranger with his younger brother Kevin, and together they trained hard to get an assignment in Afghanistan. As an Army Ranger, Pat was a special elite soldier. He had fought in other places but was proud to fight in Afghanistan. My great-grandfather was at Pearl Harbor, and a lot of my family have gone and fought in wars, and I really haven't done a damn thing as far as laying myself on the line like that, said Pat when he announced his decision to the world. Pat Tillman shut down a 3-year, $3.6 million contract with the Cardinals to fight for the country he respected and cherished, America. He left for Afghanistan and was off on a new chapter, where he wasn't a football star anymore. He was a hero fighting for his and America's life. Before he left, he and Marie married. Pat went to war and was looking forward to coming home to his wife, but sadly, he never did. Pat Tillman went to war confident and a leader. He fought hard for his country and was sadly killed. The news of Pat Tillman's death was indescribable. Everyone was shocked. So many people had touched his heart and made a difference. Pat Tillman died April 22, 2004, in Khost Province, Afghanistan. This was a heavy hit for everyone. Pat's funeral was held 1 month after the incident. Pat specifically requested a non-military funeral if he didn't come home. He also left a note for Marie if he didn't come back, which said, "Throughout the years, I have asked a great deal of you. Therefore, it should surprise you little that I have one more favor to ask you. I ask that you live." Tillman wrote this on one single paper to Marie. His funeral was depressing for the 3,000 people that attended it. The loss of Pat Tillman changed everything. Everyone at the funeral was told by the general that he was killed by running up a hill, driving the enemy back from his fellow comrades, and was shot. He was awarded the Silver Star for gallantry in action against an opposing armed force. Though the generals acted suspiciously about something, they were guilty of not bringing Pat's gear home to the family. Instead, they burnt Pat Tillman's gear, including his boots, journal, helmet, and socks, to destroy all evidence of anything, which was stated in an article that also said that the generals told all the soldiers that knew about it to keep quiet or their career was gone. They even lied to Pat Tillman's brother Kevin, who was in the Army with him, but they were hiding something even bigger, the cause of the death of Pat Tillman. The Rangers were split into two groups. The first was to turn left, and the second, with the disabled Humvee, was to turn right. But the local truck driver said that the route was impassable, so they followed the first group. There was no radio signal in the deep canyon, so neither group knew each other's position and could not see each other. Then suddenly, the second group was under attack from above. The sergeant ordered the Humvee out of the way, so he advanced. As the sergeant moved forward, the first group heard the gunfires and sent Tillman, O'Neill, and an Afghan soldier to the ridgeline to provide cover fire. As the sergeant emerged from the canyon, he shot at what he described as a shadowy figures. With the sun behind them, Tillman and O'Neill desperately waved their arms. Tillman even threw a smoke grenade to signal them. The second convoy shot up at the ridge side, where Pat Tillman and Brian O'Neill were stationed. They did not know that it was their own troops until after the accident. Minutes later, the Afghan soldier was killed, and then Brian O'Neill was down, and then Pat Tillman was killed. Brian O'Neill was the only one who survived. Marie, his mom, thought it sounded like a lie. She knew that something was wrong, and she wasn't going to stop until she found out. She immediately made calls and asked questions, made more calls and asked more questions. She drowned the generals with questions. She wanted every piece of evidence, so the generals gave her the recording and a script version of the walkies. It was useful information, but all the names were blacked out. After months of stress, anger, and sadness, she finally got answers and accused the generals of the cover-up. She, along with the United States of America, were stunned. I believe that Pat Tillman made the biggest stand in American history. He refused money, riches, and profit to become a real hero. Pat Tillman's story spread until he was as big as the world. He stood when no one else could stand. He fought when no one else could fight. And he gave courage to those who needed it most. Pat Tillman gave the real sacrifice. Pat Tillman died fighting for the country he respected and loved. Years later, Pat Tillman's story spread into books, journals, magazines, and even documentaries. He is never going to be forgotten and will always be remembered of the sacrifice he made for us.
And when brotherhood come first, then the line will never be crossed. Established it on our own when that line had to be drawn, and that line is what we reach. So remember me when I'm gone. How can we not talk about family when family's all that we got? Everything I went through, you were standing there by my side, and now you gon' be with me for the last ride.
Don't let the light guide your way. Yeah. Hold every memory as you go, and every road you take will always lead you home. Oh, it's been a long day without you, my friend, and I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long way from where we began. Oh, I'll tell